Today's guest, Amy Houseman, is doing her PhD from Cardiff University on cancer genetics.
I like biology, so I worked as a bioinformatics research assistant. So my job's just going to be to analyze all the DNA. And
during her dissertation, she found an alternative to data analyzing software,
coding and Linux and stuff to try and analyze the patient DNA. And then I managed to do it, and I was like, wow. It was like,
she has given a very positive insight on being woman in science.
You're gonna go further than people.
Having a very positive outlook on women in science, she wants to be one of the change makers that plays a very pivotal role by making it to top and encouraging and empowering more women coming into STEM.
Work my way up, and then I'll be the one at the top who's saying, you have to. Wow.
She shares about her experience on being a queer person in STEM field and provided some very positive and courageous statements along the way.
But then sometimes I think, well, science doesn't care about your sexuality, so why should anybody else? Also, I follow quite a lot of LGBTQ plus scientists on Twitter. So it's quite nice seeing that there are other people out there.
Without any further ado, let's hear what Amy has to say.
I'd say ignore what everybody says, because you can do it. And yeah, you've got to believe in yourself.
So thank you so much for joining in today. And you are doing your PhD from Cardiff University in cancer genetics, and you have done your BSc in genetics also. So can you elaborate more on that how did you get interested on genetics, and how did you find your way to PhD?
When I was 16 or 17, I did my A-levels, which is the course you take to get into uni here. And I did biology, physics, and PE, so exercise or something. I wasn't great at physics. I knew I didn't want to do physics. I didn't want to do PE, so I was like, oh, well, I like biology. I wasn't great at it, I'm not going to lie. And I don't know, genetics just kind of stood out as the course for me, because it's how one tiny thing can affect the entire development or everything. I went into, sorry, I think I forgot the email. So then I started my undergraduate in genetics, and then during my second year I knew that I didn't have any experience in the research or anything really, so I knew that I wanted to get more skills. So I applied for loads of different placement year opportunities. So then I emailed one random group, and they agreed to take me on for the year. So I worked as a bioinformatics research assistant in a university in China for a year.
Oh wow!
And then I came back, finished my degree, and then applied for a bunch of PhDs and just got onto this one. So
wow, that's great. Yeah, that's great. So you didn't start with genetics, right? Okay. So,
I always started with genetics.
Okay. So what's your current project on?
So my current project is, my supervisor has lots of DNA sequences from people with polyposis syndromes that increase people's risk to having colorectal cancer.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of syndromes that if you've got a mutation in your DNA in a certain gene, you're more likely to get colorectal cancer. So what we're trying to do is trying to find new genes, because quite a lot of people with these syndromes don't have a diagnosis of a gene that causes it. So we're trying to find that. So my job's just going to be to analyze all the DNA and fingers crossed find something.
It's kind of a marker for colorectal cancer. So all your works are related to bioinformatics, or do you have any wet lab works also?
At the moment, I think we're just going to be doing bioinformatics, so just trying to find mutations, and then like maybe trying to use like in silico tools to find if these mutations are causing people to get colorectal cancer. And then maybe once we find something, then we could go into the lab and like maybe use cell lines to like see what the effect of it would be, but I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. So your dissertation was also something in the line in right?
Yeah. So my undergraduate dissertation, my supervisor worked with genetic skin disorders. So she kind of gave me the task of like, she told me, she was like, well, my master's student analyzes DNA, but she uses this software that's really expensive. I don't want to pay you to use it. So can you figure out how to do it on your own? So so I figured I used like coding and Linux and stuff to try and analyze the patient DNA, and then I managed to do it, and I was like, wow. So that's so it kind of is related to what I'm doing now.
Okay, so did you like develop the software, or it was there? You modified something?
Pardon?
So you developed the software, or you modified something?
I didn't develop anything. Basically, what I did was there's like lots of different like tools out there that work on the computer. So I compiled them all into like one place. Okay. So I did it on the command line, and then just so it wasn't. Yeah, I tried to do it on R, but I couldn't get some of them to work. So I was like, I'm gonna go for the easy option here and just do it on the.
That's great. What you're doing, it's really great. So you are finding it interesting?
Yeah. At the moment, I don't have access to the sequences yet. So I'm just doing lots of reading about like what components we can add in to make it go smoothly.
So the one question I get very often is, how is your life like in your PhD? How is pandemic treating you? Like how much of a burden it is compared to if it was a normal world, you would have go to your lab and do work. So what is the main barriers that you are facing right
now? Because I've only really done projects in the pandemic. So my undergrad project was last year. So that was still during the pandemic. Yeah. So I haven't found it too hard to adjust, but I think that's because I haven't really known anything different. Yeah, I think if I was a wet lab person, it would be very hard. But yeah, I think also not seeing people can be a bit hard. Like if you get stuck on something, knowing who to email, who to ask, you can't just turn around and go, oh, if you used this before, you can't really do that, which it is a bit tricky. So maybe like the pandemic has like forced me to be more sociable and like ask for help when I need it.
Yes,
I think
that's right. So the next thing I wanted to ask is, as this podcast is based on women in science, so in your journey until now, do you have faced any kind of discrimination as a woman?
Let me try and think. I don't think so. Sometimes when I went to China, we had a visitor from an Italian university come and say hi to us. And he was kind of telling me the opposite. He was like, oh, because you're a girl, because you're like young, and because you're doing computer stuff, like you're gonna like go further than people because you're like, because people want diversity in their team, people want. So I kind of had that, but then I don't think so here. I think maybe once you start going higher, then that's probably when you'll see it, because I know that I had an induction week last week and we were being told about all the different people in the department. And as you got higher and higher, it was all just men. It was all just white. It was all just white men, and it's like, why is there no women here?
That's right.
So yeah.
So I was actually reading an article that also said that in PhD there are like approximate 40 to 50% of the candidates are women, but as you go higher, an assistant professor or professor, the number comes down. So that's a problem, actually.
Definitely. And it's kind of hard because it's like, how can you stop that? Like, then I guess it's just, well, we've got to be the ones to try and get to the top. But then obviously there's barriers in the way of that.
Yes, and you are doing one. You do have an Instagram channel, page. So can you talk about that a bit more?
Yeah. So it's actually it's a bit funny because I was in I think it was first year of my undergrad, I made a different Instagram to the one I have now, just because I wanted to I don't know, kind of show people what I was doing and also track like my progress. But then I forgot the password to it, so I had to make a new one. So now I've got my new one, and I don't know, I think I use it mainly to show what I'm doing, but then because I was never particularly academic in school, so I kind of use it as a way to be like, look, I wasn't great, but I had passion and I put myself forward, so like, you can too, because it really annoyed me in school when only the clever kids would get chosen to go on like all these courses and all these days. And so I think I use my Instagram kind of just to show that it is possible, because I've done it and I'm not. I got an E in my physics in A levels, which is not even, it's a pass, but it's like the lowest pass you can get. Like, it's not a good grade. But I haven't let it stop me. So I'm like,
So grade doesn't always decide like how far you are going to go. It's your interest that goes in. So I believe that.
Definitely.
And I have been also through that same kind of mindset that all of my peers, most of my peers were, intellectually more driven than me. So when I get here first, so I was thinking that maybe it's not the right place for me, but I was quite interested in looking. So I think that interest can get you far that intellectually cannot. So thank you so much.
I think definitely.
Yes. So thank you for the Instagram page also. I do follow it and it's on awesome. I will share the link in the corners below.
Thank you.
You have a pride flag with your, so can you talk about your sexuality on this podcast? Is it okay?
Yeah, so that's fine. So I'm a lesbian, but I'm cis, so I'm go by she, her. It took a while to figure it out, but eventually I did.
So the first thing that comes into my mind is, obviously it's hard for women itself to find a place in STEM field. So it's even harder for queer people to find a place. So how did you coping up with all of these?
Yeah, I think when I got to university, it was a bit more accepted because we had different societies and things like that. And people, I have found quite a few other queer people in my class, which I wasn't just expecting, because in school I didn't know anybody. It's not been too hard, but then I guess that also is the thing of because I'm quite feminine, I don't really look stereotypically like gay, as people would say. When I remember when I went to China, you are allowed to be like gay over there, but you have to be a bit subtle about it. And then with like my studies when I was over there, I don't know, I didn't exactly come out to anybody over there, so maybe there is still a thing about. But then sometimes I think, well, science doesn't care about your sexuality, like, so why should anybody else?
It's an awesome mindset, yeah. Exactly. So it's never been a barrier for you until now, and at least.
I don't think so. I think maybe it's been a mental barrier. Like it took a lot of time to figure out, but I think in relation to science, I don't think it has. But I think also I follow quite a lot of LGBTQ plus scientists on Twitter. So it's quite nice seeing that there are other people out there, to have that kind of community, even if you don't explicitly talk to them. Like,
yes, you can just see them, that they exist, and you feel, sometimes you like validation of yourself, like I do believe, I do belong. Yes, that's what I'm
definitely.
Yes. So
I think that's why it's kind of important to be like, even though I'm not exactly out, but even just having a pride flag in your thing shows that you are. Yeah. Because I don't think we would have found each other properly if we hadn't had the rainbows.
yes, that's right. So the next I wanted to ask is, like, nowadays I don't think that queer people are much out in STEM, and that feels what can I say, a kind of constant when it comes to us in STEM field. So what do you think can change this perspective, change this scenario?
That's a hard question. I think there needs to be more done from like institutions or like universities to show that they are a safe space and they are accepting, and that if you come out, it's not going to be a bad thing, or you're not going to get a reaction. Because I know that, like, my division had a diversity talk where they were telling us all the things that they do, but it also didn't feel like there was any out people in the department. So if I felt like if I'd stuck my hand up in that diversity meeting and gone, oh, by the way, I'm a lesbian and I'm interested in this sort of thing, I feel like I would have kind of maybe singled me out in a negative way, but I'm not sure if that's
really sad. I think lots of people also face this, that they will be singled out and left out if they say it out loud. I think more acceptance and representation is what we need.
Definitely. Yeah, I think you need somebody at the top who's going to be like, no, we're not going to stand for anything else, and everyone's going to, like, even with putting pronouns in like your like team chat or something, just like little things like that.
Definitely. So then it will be the last question, I think, that what's your future plan? What do you see yourself in some 10 years or 12 years?
I think I'd love to carry on with research. I really love learning and like making a difference to like the field and like to people. So I think I definitely want to continue to work in research, and fingers crossed, like get a postdoc and then eventually be like a lecturer, and then work my way up, and then I'll be the one at the top who's saying you have to. Yeah, but that's a dream.
That's awesome, and I wish you all the best for that.
You too.
Thank you. And any advices you want to give to our next generation or the people who are trying to get into the STEM field? Any advices?
I'd say ignore what everybody says, because you can do it, and you've got to believe in yourself and network as much as possible. Send all the cold emails that you can, because the worst thing that someone's going to say to you is no, but the best is anything else. So
that's awesome. Thank you so much for this time you have given me.
And thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much.